You guys, have you got your kids left home?
You know, I haven't.
They're all married off now.
Got the energy
Well,
back.
my grandkids are all getting married off.
Still have energy.
on YouTube
Sleep
yet?
a lot.
Nuts.
Where did they put my, did I put them, what did I do with my glasses? Okay. Oh, mercy. Just, oh, I get to go blind too.
Let's see. Damn, here it is.
Where'd I poke them?
Here it says, I think 70.
There they are.
And it says 65.
Yeah, it's right back here.
Is this correct?
Yes, 69.
So,
I think it was 69.
oh, ready? Sorry.
It's so popular.
I'd like to welcome everybody out to our Tuesday, February 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. I'd like to note that all Planning Commission members are present. At this time, do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing there is none, Mr. Ayotte, do we, or Suzette?
Presentations and reports.
Presentation reports.
Just follow, okay, oh. Yes, you're correct, I'm sorry. Presentation and reports, Mr. Ayotte?
Just wanted to note some things that were noted in the work session for the public's knowledge. We did have Congressman Blakemore, representatives here today to accept some comments from the public. So if you missed that, it was between 1 to 4. If you missed that and you want to reach out to him, feel free to do so through his portals on the website. And if you need other contacts, I might be able to provide a contact name for you if you have interest in commenting to his group of any concerns you may have. Aside from that, as far as development projects and plans, the Maverick site, Gibby Floral, buildings and apartment or home, whatever you want to call that, those have all been demolished and removed from the site, making way for the future Maverick that will be built on that site. That is going forward right now. And then the Cheddar site will be likely getting a building permit in a couple of weeks, as noted in the work session. And I did note that the building where the Starbucks is on the corner of 300 Riverdale Road, J-Dogs will be going in there as a new business. So some things to look forward to in our community. And with that, that's what I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayotte. Consent items, consideration of meeting minutes from January 25th, 2022 work session and regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the consent items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 2, we have the recognition of Suzette Demar for her service as a planning commissioner.
Suzette, would you like to come up to the podium? I would. Okay. I just wanted to congratulate and thank Suzette on behalf of Mayor Searle and Mayor Mitchell for her time helping Riverdale City. It's been a wonderful experience having you help us and guide us and participate. And I know were Mayor Searle here, he would say all kinds of wonderful things about even your participation prior to being a planning commissioner and being civically minded and wanting to see what's going on in the community and being a part of that. And on behalf of him as well as Mayor Mitchell, they just wanted to make sure that you understand that very much appreciate your efforts in the community, continued efforts to participate and be a part of the civic activities within the community and all that you've done for us. So I think at that point, Suzette, I'd turn it over to you if you'd like to say anything, and then we can go from there with presenting you with a few awards.
Well, I just want to say thank you for working with me, and it was really a neat experience. And, and hopefully, in the near future, I can work with you guys again.
Great. Well, Michelle, you have an award for her name plate is it's up there too. It's just kind of hiding in the back.
And on behalf of all of us as commissioners, thank you so much, Suzette.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't be a stranger.
Your nameplate.
Okay.
And then here's a nice, it's a pen set. I'll pull it out so you can see it. If that's okay, it's got your name on it.
Oh,
Ways and
neat.
all that, and so, okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hey, Suzette.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzette.
I just wanted to speak up. I'm her daughter, and I just wanted to thank you guys very, very much. She appreciated the position very, very much, and so thank you for giving her something to do also. Like, I appreciate that very much. And Commissioner Eskelson, I'm so happy that you're back. Very, very happy that
Thank
you're
you.
back. That's all. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Going to our action items. Number 1, consideration of conditional use permit request for billboard sign alterations for sign located approximately 3450 South Parker Drive as requested by Reagan Outdoor Advertising. Mr. Reagan?
Oh, thank you. Just trying to pull it up here. Reagan Outdoor Advertising is represented tonight by Guy Larson, who's in the audience tonight. As you noted, this is at 3450 South Parker Drive, which is at the north end of Parker Drive between the storage units and basically I guess you could say Parker Drive and the sound wall at that location. Per Title 10, Chapter 16, Section 7 of our city code, it states any enlargement, modification, upgrade, or conversion of existing off-premises advertising signs shall require approval as a conditional use. The Planning Commission is the decision-making body for the purposes of a conditional use request. The review of the conditional use request is to look at any outstanding health, safety, and welfare concerns that may exist in association with this proposed modification to note existing off-premise advertising signs. You'll note that in the packet, there's a letter that references Utah State Code 72-7-510.5. I've also noted that in the executive summary regarding the height of an outdoor advertising sign that may be adjusted due to noise abatement or other safety measure, grade change, construction, directional design, highway widening, or aesthetic improvements made by an agency of the state along an interstate or federal aid primary highway. And you can see in the picture that does appear definitely to be obstructed somewhat by a sound wall along that right of way. The basis for review is found in the packet thereafter. The general plan lists this area for planned manufacturing uses where it's applicable. There's no concerns noted from the Public Works, Police, or Fire departments on this one. With that, really all the other supporting documentation is found in the packet, the aerial and the permitting information. And I would defer to the planning commissioners if you have questions for Mr. Larson or me, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. We approve the conditional use permit request for billboard sign alterations for the sign located approximately 3450 South Parker Drive, as requested by Reagan Outdoor Advertising.
Second.
Michelle, will you poll the commission, please?
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Travis?
Aye.
Commissioner Eskelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Herman?
Aye.
Commissioner Wingfield?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you.
Can I just say something?
Yes, sir. Can you state your name and address
Sure,
for the record, please?
Sure. My name's Guy Larson. I'm with Reagan Outdoor Advertising. It's my anniversary, so I just had to make sure I say something. So if my wife's watching on YouTube, she knows that I definitely am here. So I really wanted to thank Mike for all of his efforts. I've been at Reagan for about 25 years. It's been a little bit since I've been in Riverdale, but I've always enjoyed coming up here. And I just want to tell you, it's been a while, and coming down Riverdale Road, I'm very surprised at how much it's improved, and it's just it's turning into a beautiful place. And so I commend you on your decisions for Mike's hard work, and I thank you for this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Okay, action item number 2, consideration to forward a recommendation to the City Council of a proposed subdivision amendment for Riverdale Joanne subdivision property located approximately 4868 South and 4978 South 1050 West, Riverdale, Utah 84405, as requested by the Lodge Properties LLC and AWA Engineering Group. Mr. Eggett?
Thank you. This application or proposal is represented tonight by Jake Tate, who's in the audience representing the interested parties. This is located in a retail commercial park RCP zone. What the RCP stands for, in case you're curious, is it's a standard traditional commercial 3 area, but it's subject to a development agreement plan and overall master plan for the site. So if and when you see that, that means there's a development agreement. This does line up fine with the development agreement for that area, if you're wondering, but that's what that is. It is a small subdivision amendment here. Located on just under 5 acres of property. No public hearing requirement is necessary for this proposal. Should this proposal receive a final approval and a recommendation, it would then be sent to the city council for their final approval consideration. Ownership listed in the county records is Lodge Properties LLC 90%, Biotti LLC 10%, excuse me. The existing parcel is where the Joann's craft store currently sits, and to the north of it there's an undeveloped portion of property between the parking lot of Home Depot and Joann's, which would be pretty much the remainder of the second parcel in this case. General plan guidance for the site is planned commercial high, and the proposed subdivision complies with the land use designation. As found in your packet under the staff review in the community development department, there are no items of any noted concern other than that the applicant work with. My iPad decided to close itself. That's weird. The applicant needs to make sure with the public works that there's no water transfer required. I don't think there would be in this case, probably more so in a site plan approval process, but just to make sure. No comments from the public works department, police, or fire on this one. The only items noted from the city engineer is make sure that the final plat is submitted, a final copy of it in electronic format back to the appropriate departments as noted in the letter that Mr. Tate has access to. The plat should indicate in the title that the plat is in a commercial subdivision. He says the existing agreements noted on the plat should be shown in or indicated on the plat. Indicate and provide for vehicle cross access in the parking lot area and utility cross usage for all buildings and owners in the shopping center. And then under the owner's signature name, the name of the person signing the plat needs to be printed and his or her title. So those were his only comments. And you can see the application found thereafter and then the supporting map images of the plat. And with that, I would defer to the planning commissioners if you have questions for me or for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion. I make a motion that we approve the amendment for the small subdivision plat review by that approximately 4868 South and 4978 South, 1050 West, as requested by the Lodge Properties LLC, and that that approval be based upon the completion of all concerns by the staff members.
We don't approve, we forward a recommendation.
It says we approve it.
And also a recommendation. Sorry, forward a recommendation
Oh, and
as well.
forward a recommendation
If
to
it's
the
not
city
there,
council.
that should be there. I apologize.
That's okay. And forward a positive recommendation to the city council.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Michelle, will you poll the council or the commission, please?
Commissioner Spires,
Aye.
Commissioner Eskelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Herman,
Aye.
Commissioner Wingfield,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Nye,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Sorry, Blair. I was going by what it said here.
Number 3, consideration to forward a recommendation to the city council
Before you finished.
of a proposed small subdivision for Riverdale Shopco subdivision property located approximately 4054 South and 4060 South Riverdale Road, Riverdale, Utah 84405, as requested by the Chasebrook Company. Mr. Agate?
Thank you. Representing their interest tonight is Jay Larson in the back, so if you have questions for him, he'd be the gentleman to answer those. This is located in the regional commercial C3 zone. The subdivision plat is here for final review and approval, and then a recommendation to city council on this one as well. The small subdivision is affecting approximately 9.6 acres of property. There's no public hearing required for this. And again, given your decision making, it could advance to the city council for final plat approval consideration at a future date. Ownership in the county records for the property is Williamson Riverdale LLC. The portion to the east on this property is the existing large Shopco. I shouldn't call it Shopco. It's not Shopco anymore. Large vacant building that once housed Shopco. There you go. That's the right wording. And then the front parcel is the portion that would be the intent to divide off for potential future use and development. The general plan guidance for this property is set as planned commercial high, and the proposed subdivision complies with the land use designation. Staff comments or concerns are just a few small things that are noted for Mr. Larson to bring back to McNeil Engineering with the plat. The property's owner name, address, and phone number. It notes the Chasebrook Company, but it doesn't provide any of the other information there. And then the developer's name, address, and phone number is not provided or shown on the plat as well. So those things need to be shown. Under street names, it references a Washington Terrace Road. There is not a Washington Terrace Road. It should be relabeled as 300 West. Again, a pretty easy fix, I'm sure. And then existing utility lines aren't shown on the plat where applicable as far as any crossing utilities. It may or may not be applicable, but we wanted to note it in case that it did have application. And then again, same thing about the water rights, that be discussed with the Public Works Director if it applies, which may not apply at this point, absent a future site plan. That may be when that matters. So there are no comments from Mr. Douglas, our Police Chief Brinkman, nor our Fire Chief Shawley on this one, nor the Fire Marshal, no recommendations. Under engineering comments, there's a list of 9 comments. Kind of highlight a few of them. Just when it's all done, there will be an electronic copy of the plat provided to the Public Works Department and the city engineer for records. The plat indicating the title of the plat is a commercial subdivision. There's a narrative needed on the final plat. A boundary description closure needs to be closed to with a closer tolerance. Some cross-access easements for the lot, such as the entrances off Riverdale Road, are not limited or vacated. There may be existing cross-access easements. They'll need to be identified. So it sounds like just a few documents that could be provided showing those easements for utilities and cross-access would be helpful to have. Approved signature block needs the language for the Riverdale City Engineer approval compliant signature block, which again, I'm sure McNeil Engineering can throw on a future final plat. Some written text amendments that need to be on the plat relative to on-site utilities and facilities on private property that are standard wording that we just have all plats within private areas have this wording as noted under item 8. And then item 9, under the owner's signature line, the name of the person signing the plat needs to be printed in his or her title, similar to the one we just had. So with that, those are all the comments noted. And then you can see the application thereafter. So I would defer to Planning Commission if you have any questions of the applicant or me, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Eggett. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we forward to the City Council with a favorable recommendation on the proposed small subdivision for Riverdale Shopco subdivision located at approximately 4054 South and 4060 South Riverdale Road, with the items that Mr. Agate mentioned be addressed prior to going to the City Council.
Second.
Michelle, will you poll the commission, please?
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Spires?
Aye.
Commissioner Eskelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Herman?
Aye.
Commissioner Wingfield?
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item 4, consideration to untable the discussion and considerations regarding proposed development agreement, amendment, and associated language as submitted by Bach Land and Development LLC.
I'd like to make a motion we untable this before we discuss it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, consideration to forward a recommendation to the City Council regarding proposed development agreement amendment and associated language as submitted by Bach Land and Development LLC. Mr. Eggett?
Thank you. This is a similar executive summary to what you had at our last meeting on this matter. Mr. Brandon Ames is present with us. This is for the property south of here that is on 69 acres of land. I won't go into the semantics or details as again, that's been discussed at the last one. You can read over it. But this did come before the Planning Commission on January 11th, 2022, where we held a public hearing for the matter. At the conclusion of the public hearing, there were no comments during it. The conclusion of it, Commission discussed with the applicant the amended language proposal and the language therein. And following that discussion, the matter was tabled, and we have since discussed the concerns or comments that were, I guess, we were on a little bit of a different position in the previous draft with Mr. Brooks, Mr. Douglas, and myself. Those items have been addressed and refined and are shown in the packet as red line items at this point, further clarifying and simplifying some of those differences. So I think we're pretty much on the same page. We did review this with their attorney, Anthony Bake. He's been very helpful throughout the process. He's reached out to me multiple times trying to get things right and further massaging it and talking about what this looks like. The one thing that the Planning Commission should be aware of, I didn't talk about in the work session, but I think that at least logistically would be helpful for you to understand, is given the nature of what may happen tonight with this, were this to be recommended to City Council, and City Council were to review it at the next meeting a week from tonight, they may not be ready to approve it. But the existing development agreement as it currently stands will expire on, I think it's the 15th or the 16th of this month. So what there may happen, this is more just for your knowledge, there may be two resolutions that are presented to the City Council, one that would let them approve this if they're good with all the terms of it, or a different alternative resolution that would extend the existing development agreement for 6 months to allow for more time to refine the elements of this proposal that maybe they don't like. So that is something that you may see. I don't want you to potentially watch the next council meeting and go, whoa, what is that all about? That's what's going on. It's just we're kind of at the edge of a time lapsing that's very important to the project area and some of the effort and expense that's gone into that area. And so they want to have both options available, and the council may not be ready a week from today, just like we've done with the Planning Commission. They may need a review or two to get through and digest what's going on and come to agreeable terms of the agreement. So with that being said, everything we talked about in the work session still is applicable. There's no general plan guidance for the request, and you can see starting on page, I don't know what page that is in the packet, 48, it looks like that's where the red line agreement is. And again, I think that from our position, they've addressed everything that we've asked them to address that they can easily address. Obviously, as noted in the work session, and again, Mr. Ames is very aware of this. Article 5 is, how would I put Mr. Brooks' words? Something we can accept, but we're not sure what the ultimate temperature of the City Council will be for it. It seems reasonable. It makes sense why they're asking for it. They're positioned for it. That doesn't necessarily mean the council will be real excited or all on board on it. And Mr. Ames is aware of that. But we feel like at the same time, there's enough consensus and compromise in how it's written that our attorney felt comfortable with the way that it's written, if that makes sense. That being said, that's really not something that the Planning Commission needs to get hung up on. Again, it's just for Mr. Ames' knowledge as well as the Commission's knowledge of that's where staff's at on that item. Everything else looks good. And again, there's nothing wrong with item 5, what's being asked. It's just we don't know what that destiny will be of that clause. So that being said, that's all I have to say on it, unless you have questions of me or Mr. Ames.
I have a question for you. If we do forward it to the City Council, you said that they may table it. They'll still have the meeting on it and then table it at the meeting?
Yeah, they could table the resolution that's tied to the actual amendment, but then approve the resolution that's tied to the extension of the existing development agreement as is for 6 months.
Okay.
Volume time. Yeah.
So our attorney has massaged this, right?
Yeah.
So it's,
Both of them have.
Both have gone back and forth to get it right.
because we aren't lawyers, so we don't know the right verbiage in this, and I want to make sure that the right verbiage is there.
And I was part of the discussion, and I helped and gave suggestions as well, and I've reviewed it, and so my eyes have been on it pretty thoroughly and getting the language right. Mr. Brooks' eyes have been on it, getting language right, and where applicable with the water stuff, Mr. Douglas's eyes have been on it, and we all feel comfortable with all the languages, pretty much I've reported to you tonight. Yeah.
Let's go on here.
I'd like to make a motion. We forward a favorable recommendation to the City Council regarding the proposed development agreement amendment and associated language as submitted by Bach Land and Development LLC.
Second.
Michelle, will you poll the commissioners, please?
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Spires?
Aye.
Commissioner Eskelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Herman?
Aye.
Commissioner Wingfield?
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Good luck.
Much better than last time.
Thank you all.
We can hardly wait.
Your process, so.
Thanks
that's why
for
we have these.
thanks for taking care of all those issues too.
Your input on it, and for all your work on it as well, so. We'll keep plugging along and.
Yeah, we want to see homes there next week.
We got to get the
I
bridge
just
up
had a
first.
meeting with the owners today at Bach, and they said the same thing.
They want to see homes
I'll
next.
respond the same, I'll try.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys, have a good evening.
Any comments? Anyone?
Welcome back, Kathy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Not yet. Hang on one thing real quick. I know, putting a wrench in. I just realized something. We do need to hold elections for chair and vice chair. We can hold it at our next meeting. I have nothing else for the agenda on the 22nd, just so you know. So we could hold a meeting just to do elections if you wanted to spend time doing elections, or we can hold off until I have other agenda items in March. But we do need to do elections for chair and vice chair. So I'm open to direction from the commissioners if there's a consensus of how you want to proceed, but that is something that needs to happen. It's
Can
been
we
2
do it
years.
now?
No, I have to have it on the agenda.
Oh, shucks.
Let's do it.
We
Mark.
wait till the next meeting, but if something comes up and we end up having a meeting
On the
in
22nd,
2
put it
weeks,
on it.
then we'll do it then. If not, we'll.
Yeah, were we to have a meeting on the 22nd, it's pretty unlikely at this point as far as materials. I've received no submittals today that would warrant a meeting on the 22nd. But by your own bylaws, we should have an election as soon as is practicable. So.
Then the next question is, do we need training? Because every time you meet our meeting, you want training. Do we need to come then to have the meeting?
I think probably our next meeting or two will have enough sufficient time to do a 5 or 8 minute video on training. Yeah.
How much credit did I get on that last online meeting?
How much time did we spend on it? Let's see.
I don't know.
It was it was the transportation one, right? I think it was an hour and a half. So you would get straight time of how much ever time we spent on that. Yeah. I think that it would be straight time. So I think we were on there in that portal for an hour and a half. That's what my
Oh, it was at least that.
memory is. So anyway, yeah, I think you would qualify for an hour and a half of your annual. And remember, it's 4 hours a year is the requirement.
Is that already been recorded on everybody?
We don't have to formally record it, but we have to somewhat keep track so that we can evidence it if we get audited.
Okay. But I mean, when any one of us joins in on one of those online meetings,
Oh yeah, they have a
you
roster.
get it recorded too?
Well, they have a roster, like the one you attended. They have a roster that you would sign in on,
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is
keeping a log of it.
you guys keep a record of our time too, because
We're not necessarily required to.
I'm not crazy about doing that.
I know, I know.
Do it again.
The way state code is, it's mandatory 1 hour of land use. It might be land use legislation training or just land use training, and then 3 other hours of planning related training is I think what the state law is.
Are you going to do
Some
a
of that.
lot of the online? I mean,
I'll do more of the videos.
Videos?
Yeah,
Okay.
shortly. Yeah,
because I know
my
that's
plan.
Randy used to do that.
That's my plan. There's quite a few still.
But it
So.
wasn't because we were required. It was just we had new people.
And the thing is too, we have to do every year your annual Ethics and Open Meetings Act training, and that counts. That's legitimate training towards that 4 hours. So if Steve works slow and takes his time, even though it might feel tiring, we can knock out 30 minutes pretty quick. So,
Well, even if you have a 10-minute meeting,
Right.
you round it up to the first.
and we get
half
some
hour.
credit, for meetings. Not all credit, but meetings can count just being here and
Will
participating.
there be other meetings that we can attend, like the one that I did in Salt Lake?
Trainings, yeah. The league's been a little quiet on. I think it's because of
COVID?
current session.
Some of those
It's
coming up.
Oh, they're in
legislative session, and
Yeah.
I will share some of those fun bills with you. Probably not today, but maybe at our next meeting. Fun, not really. Ha.
Count towards our continuing education.
It could. I don't know to what extent. I'd have to check the state code and see. But we have some bills that are coming that are not very friendly to cities. So
No, they keep doing that.
there's about 50 that are pretty hostile right now towards cities. So anyway,
I really need to know all this.
All they like is the revenue.
and
Well, and they've got
being
that-
Big Brother.
And they've got that initiative too. What's it called? Something
Utah Lake. Are you talking about the Utah County one or the?
the state initiative that is you know it. I can't think.
For like housing? Is it the housing one you're thinking of?
Could be it could be the housing, and it also has to do with water and the whole thing.
There's a bunch about water. There's a bunch about housing. There's a bunch about the government being the preeminent land use or commercial development entity in the state for any city at their whim. There's a couple of others out there. There's no regulation of food trucks. There's quite a few of them that are pretty hostile. So anyway.
No regulation of food trucks. Not
Yeah,
even
like except for the original jurisdiction. But if they were to if they got their license, their health, and their fire out of Salt Lake County, and they come into Riverdale, we can't do anything unless there's actually a complaint that we need to investigate. And even then, it's pretty hands off on the level
Yeah,
of
I've heard they
regulation.
can park pretty much wherever they want to.
It's
too.
pretty bad bill. But anyway, that's all I have though. Otherwise.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, us down here
Aye.
just kind of.